Across Ramsgate, Dover and Sandwich on 104.2 FM and across West Kent on 96.7 FM.
BBC Radio Kent.
A crucial vote on the future of jobs, homes and new businesses in Thanet will take place tonight. It's basically the vote on the local plan. North Kent MP Sir Roger Gale says the local plan deserves to fail as the bitter row continues over the future of Manston Airport. UKIP leader Chris Wells came to power on a pledge to reopen the airport, but he's now backing proposals to build thousands of new homes there. Well, the MP for North Thanet, Sir Roger Gale, is with us this morning. Sir Roger, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
Looking through the local plan, I mean, the plan for Manston is for a mixed development, which could include aviation.
Well, first and foremost, that's a non-starter, and the idea that you can have a sort of mini airport is a nonsense. But that aside, that's not what we need anyway. The country, not just Kent, not just Thanet, but the country actually needs the freight facility and subsequently the passenger facility that Manston can offer. Manston is unique. That aside, we've established this very clearly, there is more than sufficient land available for housing without using Manston at all.
Although, according to the local plan document, and according to Chris Wells, I should say, that would mean using 300 more acres of greenfield land if you don't build on Manston to build enough houses.
That is absolute rubbish.
Okay.
And Councillor Wells knows that it's absolute rubbish. There is sufficient land already identified. In fact, not only is there sufficient land, we think we can probably save some Grade 1 agricultural land that has been identified for housing because there's enough without it.
Okay. Now, where we are with the airport, as I understand, is that River Oak, this company who thinks they can operate a freight-type airport there, is applying for a development consent order from the government. Now, I've spoken to you this before, and you believe the government will grant that, don't you? And if they do, then that's fine. But if they don't, that is it, isn't it? We are waiting on that now.
If Manston was not given status as an airport, which of course it already is, I mean, so we're not changing the use of it. What we're saying is there is a viable plan, a financially viable plan, to create, through massive investment, which is available, a major freight hub and subsequently a passenger airport as well, which is what the local people want. And the overwhelming majority of local people have voted for that. And it's needed nationally as well and will be needed more post-Brexit. Were that not to go through, that would completely alter the whole dynamic of Thanet.
Yeah.
And there would have to be a total revision, not a piecemeal revision, but a total revision of the local plan.
And you've told me before that
dramatically change the whole area.
And you've told me before if that doesn't happen, you'd resign.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
I've said, and I stand by that.
Okay, let me. There is an amendment on the table. Are you aware of this, Sir Roger? There is an amendment, and I'll read it to you. The site proposals are: the idea of building houses on Manston deferred for a period of 2 years in the event of that DCO or a CPO supporting aviation use is accepted within the 2 years, or the landowners decide to operate as an airport, the allocation specified in this policy would not take effect. So what they're saying is if you get that DCO within 2 years, they won't build on it. But the plan goes through with that caveat. Would you accept that?
There is a cobbled together last minute amendment that is trying to con the way through this. And what I want, and what the Conservative group unanimously wants, what I think some members of the Labour group want, and I know some members of UKIP want, is for that one clause relating to Manston to be taken out of the local plan. The local plan can then go through. But without that clause, there is still time between now and the end of March, which is the deadline, for Thanet to have a rethink and to get a local plan
so
through.
you wouldn't advise your councillors who are Conservatives to vote for that amendment, even though it protects Manston for 2 years?
I don't believe that is sufficient. I think what we have to do is take that out of the equation completely, oppose the local plan unless it's taken out. If it's taken out, that's fine. If it's not taken out, then defeat the local plan, have a rethink, and you can still get it through. There is time with the political will to get it through before the end of March, which is the deadline.
Okay, let's bring in Labour District Councillor for Newington, Karen Constantine. Karen, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
Will you be voting for the local plan tonight?
Well, I'm concerned about what Roger's just said about this idea about this plan not now going forward to local people, because it's usual that a local plan goes forward and then the local people and organisations have a proper say on it. The route that Roger's suggesting means a complete loss of democracy, I think, and that the Department of Homes, Communities and Local Government will actually step in to deliver that local plan.
Well, they
Now,
will if you haven't got
I've
one,
been
but
told.
what about the
Well,
amendment?
that's the point of tonight.
I know,
isn't
but
it?
could you, so you're going to vote for it? You think it's a good plan, yeah?
I want to put the plan forward so
Yes.
that local people can have a full democratic say. And I'm really surprised to hear Roger Gale saying that he doesn't want that to happen because people won't have a voice.
But
And
his
actually,
worry
this will
is
be-
his worry is that the local plan, if it goes forward, it does talk about building houses on Manston Airport.
We've got to build houses in Thanet. And
Yes, but he says that
that's
you've got
his-
other land for that.
That's the Conservative government's decision about how many homes we build in Thanet. And we have to have a 5-year land supply for these houses, which actually we don't have. That's the purpose of the local plan.
Okay.
And I'm really concerned about this issue of the evidence for an air cargo hub with its night flights, which they've now come clean about. So we're looking at 4,000 night flights. We're looking at something like 2,000 flights in the shoulder hours, the early morning, the late evening. Now, when Kent County Council was consulted about this for West Kent, for movements at Gatwick, they threw that out completely.
Okay,
But
let me-
it seems
I'm gonna-
to me, we're at risk here of
Okay.
having night flights.
Okay, so Roger Gale, can I just ask you about that? The fact that why don't you let this plan go forward to the local people? Let them decide if they like it or not.
First of all, the local plan has already been consulted upon in draft extensively, and local people overwhelmingly opposed the use of Manston for housing. Second, there is sufficient land available for housing without using Manston. More than sufficient, not just sufficient, but more than sufficient land available. Third, were the Secretary of State to come in after the 31st of March, and there is still time to get this right, but if the Secretary of State were to come in, the Secretary of State's already indicated to Craig McKinley and to me that he would want to consult anyway.
Right.
So I'm afraid it kicks the bottom out of the entire argument that Councillor Constantine has just made.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there, and we will find out tomorrow whether the local plan for Thanet has gone through. So make sure you're listening to this programme tomorrow morning.